Our last sort of PLC speaker today is going to be Heidi. She's a new PLC parent this year, and she does just about everything for us, including apparently telling everyone she can about PLC. I think it's actually some sort of secret plot to fill PLC up with all of her friends and acquaintances. And it's working, because everybody we talk to anymore is connected to you in some way. I don't know, it's going very well. So anyway.
Hi, thank you. And yeah, it is true. Joel commented to me the other day. He was like, how do you know all these people that you keep sending it? And it's really simple. When you found something for your child that is this amazing, you tell every person you see. And that's the bottom line. I chatted to Isabella's mom at Circus Place one day, just because, I ran into a friend at the coffee shop. What are you up to? Well, how's Maya? Because they wonder if she's not in the public school anymore. How is it? You want to tell the world, and because you want them to be able to find that for their families and their children as well. So the real reason I make all those referrals is because of you guys, all of you. So I don't even remember when I first heard of Princeton Learning Cooperative, but the phrase kept popping up in places. So back when my daughter was enrolled as a sixth grader at Timberlane Middle School. I saw a yard sign in town, and eventually, and I want to say, because I know I have obviously we had a lot of issues in public school because we have taken our daughter out, but overall it was not a bad experience for her, and it had a lot of positive for it. But the older she got, the more it wasn't working. So the more I kept hearing about this Princeton Learning Cooperative, I was like, what was it? So I did what we all do when we don't know what something is. I Googled it. And the day I Googled it, they were having an open house, like the very next day. And so I think in like a span of 2 hours, I looked at everything on your website before that open house, and went and approached my very traditional by the books accountant husband, and I said, hey, should I go check out this open house? And he was like, and I talked to him about it, he was like, well, yeah, why don't you take Maya with you? And I was like, really? You want to? And so Maya had been enrolled in public school in the Hopewell Valley since kindergarten, and she was doing okay. She was doing well, actually, academically and socially. When you measured her by all those traditional yardsticks, grades, tests, teacher evaluations, she was doing well. And she seemed like a generally happy child, but she hadn't really wanted to go to school since kindergarten, because kindergarten at the time, if you had Mrs. Smith, was like Disney World. But she was generally bored. More often than not, she wasn't really engaged in what she was doing. She was just kind of doing it because she had to. But she would talk about how school just seemed like a waste of her time, and I have to admit that at a certain point, I realized she was right. It wasn't reaching her where it needed to. It wasn't engaging her. And this is despite some really phenomenal teachers at Hopewell Elementary who really did do a lot for her, and that we were very lucky to have. But what I was seeing as a parent is this bright, inquisitive child who really wanted to learn, but in the school setting, there was nothing that was motivating her internally. It wasn't engaging her own curiosity. Instead of engaging her curiosity, it seemed to discourage it. She wasn't following that. And so we went to an open house, Maya and I, and actually my aunt tagged along, and we met, I think Joel, Allison, Cammie, I think were there, and it was like this amazingly eye-opening experience. And I remember Joel talking about it, and it was like, okay, she can choose her classes, she can play D&D, and you don't have those long homework assignments, yet her days will still be meaningful, and you can still teach her Algebra 1, And field trips every Friday, which I think had her head spinning at that one. It was a lot. So we found ourselves, it was June at that point. She had just finished Timberlane. And we realized that we were considering pulling our child out of school. Now my husband and I both are products of a full K through 12 public education, of which we were very proud of. It was the decision to allow Maya to join PLC was, I will admit, it was a very difficult one. On the one hand, we were pulling her out of school. On the other hand, we were sending our 12-year-old to high school. And that, to me, that's what it felt, because it is so I need to thank Sharon Beccarelli for helping us kind of walk down that board. I had a nice coffee with her. Because public school, even though it wasn't working perfectly, it felt safe. It had worked for us as children. It was familiar. I never liked school that much as a kid, and I did okay, right? We just did it. We sucked it up. However, despite the apparent safety of public school, when we started to realize the true self-directed learning approach that PLC took, and the ability for Maya to have the strongest voice in her education, that was just really exciting for us and something we couldn't pass up. So the big question for both of us as parents, especially for my, bless his heart, my very traditional husband, was, okay, well, how will we know this is working? How will we see results? Because there aren't going to be report cards and grades, and as much as, we say that, grades and tests don't matter, if it's all you've ever known, it is a comfortable world. Well, our fears were answered very soon after Maya joined PLC. In only a couple of months, we could see that this leap of faith that we had taken was paying off. And it wasn't because of the Google document, but I do appreciate the Google document that, it kind of keeps track of what she's doing. And it wasn't because of the family meetings, which I also really appreciate and are a wonderful way to check in on what's going on. We could see it every day. We could see it at the dinner table. She might explain something that they had discussed in life class. And I will never, for the rest of my life, forget the moment when she came home and she said, "Guess what? Guess what? We're getting a physics teacher." Okay, my 13-year-old was crazy excited that they were getting a physics teacher. And I was like, wow, that's wonderful, honey. I'm very excited for you. So, and when she would talk to us, she had started D&D, which her father had taught her a couple of years before. And after being in the D&D class for, 4 or 5 months, she became a dungeon master, which is a really neat thing to hear her talking about, and I hear it at home, I hear about it in the carpool. But in Girl Scouts, where I actually, most of my scouts are in a traditional public school, but the level of poise and confidence that I saw when she led a group of young girls was, and I could just see that the confidence that PLC is giving her really making a difference every day. It's not so much what she does, it's how she does it now. She approaches life with more joy, with more confidence, and a confident, joyful person can learn a lot more than someone who is bored and disengaged. So I don't know what the next few years are going to look like. I don't know what subjects are going to catch her interest, but I know that being a part of the PLC community is going to give her the confidence and the tools to learn, explore, and grow what she wants to be doing, and in meaningful ways. And I know she's going to have a really wonderful time along the way. And so I just want to close with a note of gratitude for everyone who makes PLC what it is today, and that is the founders who made it happen. I'm sure there are people that I didn't even meet, the staff, the volunteers. I mean, this sort of a system would not work without the volunteers, and the members. The members really kind of, you're the glue in this community, and you're such a welcoming group. And of course, the supporters of PLC who make this a reality for kids every day. So thank you.